in thank you for meeting in 2 weeks to build number 2 in Leroy, as we say in Alabama. So I just wanted to say thank you. Just a small memento of when you enjoy those chocolates, that the decisions you've made will change the lives of many around this world. There's also outside above the coat rack, there's a bottle of refreshments for your enjoyment later. So I just wanted to say thank you from Inclusion in Motion, from Nancy, MJ, and I for your support. So thank you very much. And then Doug here is for the town employees upstairs in the office. So there's one of these for each one of us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to be heard this time? Okay, do we have any priority? Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it appropriate to talk about the Canandaigua shores?
Yes, you can talk about it. Same rules, 3 minutes, and
My name is Rob Gray. I live on Thorndale Beach, which is 2 miles south of Lakeshore Drive. And it gets real busy during concert season, but the concert season doesn't last all year. That is one of the questions, though, about this new project, how the traffic will be affected in a negative way. So one thought is possibly, and I know you can't force a traffic light, it's up to DOT to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of times they wait for serious accidents before there's justification for a traffic light. I don't know how much arm twisting can be done by the town, but it would be nice to have a light there, I think, to help smooth off the traffic flow. I think there's a couple of things that probably should be considered that I thought of. One would be a holding pond at just immediately east of 364. So any runoff from the middle down, I know there are a couple of ponds already in the new plan, but any further runoff from the middle down will be caught in a holding pond. Any pollutants or even just soil from a heavy rainstorm would stop there before it was just automatically running into the lake. I'm on the board of the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association. I'm not speaking for them, just as a concerned citizen. And in fact, I don't even, they have a lot of standing because I don't live in Canandaigua, I live in Gorham. But anyway, I think to make people aware of some of the considerations that I think are important. And the other one I want to mention is leave some trees. The sketches I saw, the rendition of the new plan, which I think is much better than it was, it's much improved. But that didn't show any trees in the section, at least where I don't think either section, upper or lower section, didn't show trees. It doesn't mean they're not going to leave trees, but I think leaving trees is a real important thing, as many as possible to help prevent runoff and heavier windstorms especially, and for aesthetic reasons too. That's about it, I guess, and 3 minutes are up.
you're good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. No priority business?
There's one more. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Every time I think, go ahead. Please state your name for the record. Same rules apply, of course.
John Frank, 3560 Otisiana Point, Canandaigua. Well, it's deja vu all over again. While the developer should be commended for utilizing the scenic view shed overlay for approximately 50% of the 33-acre parcel in question, with 10 homes on 1 acre plus lots, the lower half of the property would have 12 two-story buildings with 6 units each for a total of 72 rented apartments. This is an increase of 8 units compared to the developer's last proposal. A high-density plan continues to be an environmental risk to Canandaigua Lake, does not solve the issue of traffic and pedestrian safety, would have a negative visual impact, is a financial risk, and sets a precedent contrary to the town's comprehensive plan. For these reasons and so many more, the 1,000 plus citizens, voters, and taxpayers of this community who signed our previously submitted petition urge the town board to reject this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Before I move on, anyone else? Okay, thank you. No priority business? Presentation. Town Supervisor-elect Jared Simpson.
All right, when I saw these, I was very jealous, and I wouldn't be surprised if Terry or Gary or any elected official is like, all right, I want to resign so I can get one of these. These are pretty cool, so I'll start out, Linda, I can call you up to the front, but you're already right in the front. So, let me find, these are pretty awesome. So, in commemoration of, you can see that this is your actual one, and hopefully this will find a beautiful place down in Florida so they can see how awesome Canandaigua Lake is. So if you can see it, this is pretty cool. So now I'll show it to everybody right here. So this is a thank you gift to Linda for her service on the town board. She was elected to the board in 2017, and she served those years very capably as finance chair, introducing a lot of new policies, a lot of new procedures that we follow in the town, and had a big effect there. Also served on the special events committee. And it reads, an appreciation for your outstanding, it's really small, commitment to the town of Canandaigua, your steadfast leadership of the finance committee, and for always being a voice of reason and balance. Thank you. So I'd like to take a moment and thank Councilwoman Gorzak for her time and her service. And if we could just get a little thank you. So Jim has volunteered to take one of the trucks and drive down the road.
You need a co-pilot?
So, yeah. So you
Thank
might,
you so much.
you might get some visitors down your place to bring this to you. All right, and the next one is thanking Supervisor Kathy Mennocotts, and she too has a beautiful image of Canandaigua Lake. And Kathy, who served as town supervisor from 2019 to 2021, and it reads, an appreciation for your thoughtful leadership of the town board through unprecedented times and your consistent dedication and service to the town of Canandaigua and all of Ontario County. Thank you. So as the town board and residents of the town, we would like to thank Kathy for her service.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Great stuff. Thanks again, everyone. Okay, we have no continued public hearings, new public hearings. Public hearing on a proposed consolidation agreement for the consolidation of the Andrews Road Water District into the Canandaigua Farmington Water District. Can I have a motion to open the hearing, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The public hearing is now open. Would anyone like to be heard on this public hearing? Pertains to resolution number 2021-288. Okay. Seeing no hands, can I have a motion to close this public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion to close the public hearing carries. This public hearing is now closed. Our next public hearing is on a Town of Canandaigua Town Code text amendment, local law to create the Uptown Business Improvement District, Chapter Section 225, and seeker determination of non-significance. This pertains to resolution number 2021-289. Can I have a motion to open this hearing?
So moved. Second.
Any comment? Any opposed? Hold on. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion to open the public hearing carries. Anyone wish to be heard on this?
Now, I had a couple questions. Do you want me to present them here or wait until we get to the resolution? You okay if I, just general information questions regarding the
You
bid?
can do it now.
Okay, so in going over this, some questions that I thought that residents might have. And as we go through these, so a few questions. The first one, people might wonder the specific services that we see the bid providing. So And I've asked, if Doug, you can share, enlighten a few of us on those so people are aware of what the bid is and those who might not have read it.
Sure. So the purpose of this, the design of this business improvement district for specifically the uptown area is for basically the financing of supplemental services that otherwise wouldn't be provided by the town of Canandaigua. For instance, the uptown business district or the uptown feasibility study called for things like banners and light poles and some additional landscaping, flowers, maybe median flowers, just general, what we would call beauty improvements, those types of things in that uptown business corridor in that area, along with things like I could foresee supplemental services, including things like plowing the sidewalks in uptown, as you've got quite a few different facilities that whether it's Liberty Apartments or it's Trolley Station Apartments, and you've got people that are trying to get to some of the businesses, the services, the grocery stores, those types of things. So with the Uptown Business Improvement District, where we don't include that as part of the services that we provide for the town overall and all the residents of the town of Canandaigua, specifically the business owners, the landowners in the Uptown Business District, and again, this would be determined by the town board, but hypothetically, the town board would establish a budget for the next fiscal year, 2023 would be the very next one, where there would be a tax associated for those businesses in the uptown form-based code area that would provide for those supplemental services. So for instance, I use that analogy of plowing the sidewalks in uptown. Whatever the cost is for plowing the sidewalks in uptown, those costs would be borne by the landowners in the Uptown Business Improvement District as an example. But it's 100% supplemental services. It's things above and beyond what we would normally do for the residents of the town of Canandaigua.
And I think to add to that and to reiterate, some question about the funding of it and the fact that it's completely funded by the businesses within the district. So it's not a general tax within the town, and it's not added to the general tax rate. And then another concern that some might have that was brought up was when the bid is deciding what to do, 51% of the property owners of the assessed value constitute a majority vote. So the people who own property and are taxed within the bid. In this plan, it's 51% of assessed value and 51% of the property owners have to both vote. So if you are a property owner and you might not be a large business, you still have a vote and you still have a say. And you can't be overpowered by some of the larger businesses that might be in that bid area. So that's a good thing for control and checks on that, and to let the little guy be heard.
Jared, if I could just piggyback on that, I reread that, and I appreciate you asking me earlier today, just so I could reread that section too. And that section specifically, and you're absolutely right, it also pertains to, like, if there's something that the group wanted, or even if they wanted to dissolve the bid, and they would be petitioning the town board. Ultimately, the town board makes that decision. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. The town board is the ultimate decision maker.
Okay, that's all that I had for that. Thank you.
Yes, Adam.
I just wanted to confirm, at an earlier meeting, you had indicated that the single-family homes would not be included in the bid. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, so the current properties that are single-family homes, and those are actually detailed and excluded in the actual language in the proposed local law, they would be excluded. And it's primarily businesses, essentially. It could also include rentals, which again are businesses for the purposes of this law.
Anyone else? Yes,
I have to get up.
if you're comfortable getting up, otherwise you can sit there, I
I'll
guess.
just stand right here.
Okay.
So, I think this is a wonderful plan for Uptown, and I first have a question, does it include shoveling the sidewalks? They are responsible for shoveling the sidewalks, well, when do they need to be shoveled?
So in the analogy that I just used, the example is, and ultimately that's a town board decision, but the business improvement district could take care of shoveling all of the sidewalks in Uptown as part of the adopted budget for the Uptown bid. That would need to be decided by the town board. So when we prepare a budget for 2023, just like we prepare a district for water districts, there would be a budget special district budget for Uptown that, for instance, could include sidewalk shoveling as part of that.
So I just wanna say I'm very much in favor of this for the uptown area. And those of you who know me know I've been bitching and moaning about the look of the main entrance into the town of Canandaigua. It needs to have somebody pay some attention to it. You go into the business district of the city, and wow, I mean, it's very striking. We need to do that in the town, because the first image of Canandaigua and this whole area is that uptown area. But once you get past Augustus and Thomas Road there, it needs to have some attention paid to it. And I think that this is probably the best plan. If, you know, we may as well try it, because certainly nothing else has worked.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. I have a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This public hearing is now closed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have reports of town officials and department heads. Jim, Highway, Water Superintendent.
Submitted my report, any questions?
Assessor, Ms. Pam? Okay. Leaf, Town Historian, or anyone from?
He had to go to calling hours, was unable to make it.
Okay. Town Clerk, Jean?
I do. I just want to kind of give everybody a brief update on the town clerk's office. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been short-staffed due to illness. And I just want to publicly thank Rebecca Doyle. During those 2 weeks, she handled herself and the operations of the department, while Lisa and I had to be out of the office. She did it with utmost respect and gratitude, and she even adjusted her personal schedule to cover the office. So I just wanted to publicly thank Rebecca for her dedication to the town and the love of her job, and it's something I can never say thank you enough for.
Thank you.
If I could add to that, so I was here and witnessed that, and that was actually my first day back, is when the clerk's office was so short. Rebecca was so excited, truthfully, I think about the opportunity to prove herself and that she had it and she could handle it. In addition to all the responsibilities of the town clerk's office, and she was basically running the whole office by herself with some occasional assistance from us, she also took it upon and made sure that all the Christmas presents that we had been collecting, that those all got delivered, and she did that in her off time and everything. She knocked it out of the ballpark.
And that's with a small baby at home,
Yeah.
so. Yes, I second that. Thank you, Rebecca. Planner, I think I saw Shauna online.
Yep. I'm here if you have any questions.
No, I don't think anyone does.
Okay, thank you.
Human Resources Parks Coordinator, is Lindsay with us? Okay, Doug.
First of all, we all need to congratulate Mr. Fletcher on his award that the very, very recently announced, I'm gonna probably mess it up, but it's the State Highway Administrative Professional Person of the Year Award. Very well.
Do you have a speech prepared or anything?
No, but it's nice to be recognized for the efforts over the years of being in the town by peers. And it's a nice award that you've received.
We appreciate you.
Just two more quick things. You have my report, just two quick things that have just recently transpired. Just so everybody's aware, continue to have conversations with the DEC relative to the transfer of Ononda over to the town. We finally have some movement out of Albany with that. That's just within the Albany DEC. That's kind of some of the holdup. But And Tom keeps asking me, so Tom, thank you for keep asking me. It's always on my agenda, but it's every time I know I'm gonna see Tom, I like try to call the DEC to get another answer again before, so thank you for continuing to ask me. And some exciting news, and thank you to Jim, the Highway Department, Lindsay, and the Parks Department. We're super excited, the new pirate ship at Outhouse Park, pirate ship playground, the Outhouse Park, it's in. And actually, we had the most cool experience today. Lindsay went over today to take photos of it, to post on Facebook and start to let people know it's available and everything. And there was a mom with 2 young kids over there, and she actually stopped Lindsay and she said, I'm so excited that this is here. I bring my kids all winter long. We just put snow pants on them, and the fact that they can come over here now, and they were just so excited. Lindsay said there was a little boy that came down the slide, and he ran over and gave her a huge hug and said, thank you so much. This means the world that there's another pirate ship here, so. And that's all.
That's the important stuff, right? Okay, supervisor, deputy supervisor. So monthly financial reports are included. Trying to think of the right time to say something. Just choked up by your presentation and not expecting it. I would like to say a few words, parting words. First of all, good luck to you.
Thank you.
I know the town will be in good hands. I've seen how much you care about every person, and I feel that the town will be, you'll be a great captain at the helm. Not the pirate ship, but on this ship. So thank you for being willing to do this.
Thank you.
And it's not an easy job, as you will know. My hope is that the people of the town give you a chance. It's been tough. It's been an honor and a privilege, but it's been tough, as you know, because you've listened to me. Some of you here have been harsh critics of me, and I appreciate that as town people. My hope is that if you have a question or a concern about a particular person or how they may be feeling on something, that you would speak to that person. Some of you who are my harshest critics never called me up, never asked me what I was thinking. This is not the forum where you can always speak in what you're thinking. If you ever want to know about anything, either you can call me about anything that happened, or I hope that you will do the same for Jared. In the end, we're all human beings. We all want the same thing. We want to be loved. We want our families to be taken care of. We want safety. We want to live in a safe place. We may disagree on how to get there, but that's the one thing I've found throughout my career. It's hard to breathe with this on, so I apologize. I'll put it back on. I was humbled by the experience, and this is after being in public service for 30 years, more than 30 years. As a prosecutor, as a public defender. But before that, I had 2 heroes in my life, many heroes, but 2 of my greatest heroes were a woman by the name of Sister Teresa Fitzgerald, who was my 7th and 8th grade nun. She is my greatest hero. She is truly the embodiment of service to others. She was nominated for CNN Person of the Year. She runs a home for women who, when they get out of prison, need homes for their families. It's a true meaning of grace. I try to live by that every day. It's not easy. Certainly not easy in this job. And then my grandfather. Some of you know my grandfather. My grandfather was first deputy police commissioner in the early 70s, and he was forced out by the Mullen Commission. If you ever saw the movie Serpico, some of you know this story. He was the one person in the police department who could be trusted. And he had a story to be told, and he was blamed for a lot of it. And years later, I was very young at the time, I spoke with him about it. And he never came forward with his side of the story. And my father and I were both very angry with him about that. But he said, I don't have to do that. I know I always did the right thing. And that's how I feel. I've always been guided by my heart, by my love of this town, by the love of all of you, by the way I was raised, and by knowing and learning from people like Sister Teresa Fitzgerald. I'm saddened that I'm leaving because I really loved this job. But I feel like I'm a much better lawyer, and that has served me well. And I know some of you in this room may have applied to be for the position of town board member. So maybe I'll be sitting there giving you a hard time. I probably will be. But that's okay, because that's what we as public servants are called upon, to answer the tough questions. But before you do that, before I do that, I will reach out to you, and I will ask you, and I will try to find out what happened. And from here on out, I ask you to do the same if you consider doing so. It's easy to sit there in judgment of people, but do you really want to know what's going on? Throughout my time, I've heard things like covert elitism from some people in this room, and what are we really doing, and who do we really care about? I can tell you who I care about, every single person in this town. And so many people over my 3 years here reached out to me. And I always treated them with respect and understanding and tried to help them. And I hope that legacy lives on, because I know a lot of you here feel the same way. It's been difficult, as I said, but there's nothing more. We talk about covert elitism. I think it's time for this town to move on to the future. We have to have meetings when everyone can go. We have to look to get people on these boards who are working people with families, with jobs, single mothers, independent people who are just on their own. Think outside the box. We can't just keep having meetings during the day when people can't come. I'm able to come. I was able to come because I was in a unique situation where I worked for many, many years to be able to retire, to be able to do this. This job takes a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of time. Let's make it easy to be inclusive. We all talk about inclusivity, but let's do it for the future. Let's let everyone with a voice be heard. And that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. All right. And I keep changing masks because, like all of you, I have an array and assortment of masks for everything. All right. Reports of committees, boards, and commissions. Finance, Linda.
Nothing further.
Planning, Terry.
Included in the packet for this week was a document entitled Executive Summary of the Climate Smart Community Program. That's something that's coming at the town. Caitlin Kukumski put this together, did a great job. She's very into, the intricacies of the program itself, Climate Smart Community. There's another one coming along too, the community aggregation, and then probably January, maybe February, where I would like to invite a guy in, Rod Robinson, to talk about community aggregation, which is, combining the purchasing power of the community to buy electricity. The city does it now, and they've achieved something like 7%, 8% savings in the cost of electricity. Not the distribution, but the electricity itself. And I think it would be good for our town to consider that and hold public forums to explain what the program is like. Because there's some real savings there, and it also feeds into whether you like it or not, believe it or not, the climate change discussions that are going on throughout the country. The energy that comes from the community aggregation program comes into the community is clean energy. It's from solar, wind, nuclear, hydropower, biomass, things like that. But that program is kind of a subset of this Climate Smart Community Program. And this program, what happens is you amass points for different things you do that are climate smart. You get into discussions on recycling and LED lighting, which everything in here now is LED lighting. You earn points, and the more points you get, you qualify for a bronze, a silver, or gold level. And as you do that, it makes applying for and the possibility of getting grants from the state or other agencies to do different programs easier. Because the state has put that carrot out there and said, we want you guys to do things in a more environmentally clean manner. So this program would allow us to amass points, as I said, to demonstrate that we are a climate smart community and perhaps open us up for more grants for all the different things that we talk about, all the different areas that we touch upon providing service to the residents. So it's there. If you have any questions on it, Caitlin and Sarah and Doug know a lot more about it than I do. So, but what our intent would be is to make this, establish a climate smart community committee. That committee would be a subset of the Public Works, Planning Public Works Committee. Caitlin McCumsky would head that up. We would meet perhaps quarterly to look at where we are. Initially, there's a lot of work pulling together all the different things that we've done so far to qualify for points in this program. Right now, from what Doug, Sarah, and Caitlin tell me, that we probably are close to qualifying for the bronze level of the program. But it'll take a couple of months to pull all that together if the town board decides to go ahead and pursue this. So this summary is there's a lot more to it than 2 pages. So, but it gives you a taste of what the thing is like and what would be entailed. So we'll be bringing more of this to the board in the future and to the residents. So this is just a kind of an opening salvo. So that's it.
That's great, thank you, Jared. Jared, do you want to speak on environmental at this point?
I'll come back with the ECB.
Ordinance, Gary?
We're working on the same things we have, the cemeteries and the ag overlay. Hopefully in a couple months or so, we'll be able to move them forward.
Thank you, Gary. Planning board? No? ZBA? Okay. All right, Jared, you're up again.
All right, so I had this nice report all ready to go, and then I found out it has to be done by resolution. So my report will come out next month. I'd like to thank Shauna for all of her help. She was the brains behind it, and we met and we put up the annual report for the Environmental Conservation Board. So rather than read it all to you tonight, all 3 pages of it, I'll keep you in suspense, and you'll have to look for next month for it to be in the agenda. But it highlights the accomplishments, the projects that we did, the reviews that we completed, and the goals that we have going forward as we kind of revamp the ECB and make it more productive and more functioning based on what the town is going to need going forward. That's it.
All right, thank you. Is Sarah here for CIC or anyone else? No? Oksana for special events, or Linda?
I don't think Oksana's on the line, but we are in a kind of holding pattern due to COVID, but we are intending to put together a leaflet that explains the kind of outdoor activities you can do at each of the parks. Hoping to get people out, and then potentially having on snowy weekends a reminder sent out to be able to say, hey, don't forget you could be sledding or things like that. So that's the plan.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the Ag Committee?
I don't see anybody, but sorry, if I could just give a quick, just super excited to be able to share with you that on Friday we did our very first Town of Canandaigua PDR closing. And you probably are all wondering, what are you talking about? We've done PDRs before. So all of our PDRs that we've done in the past has been a joint project with Finger Lakes Land Trust, and Finger Lakes Land Trust actually held the conservation easement. This most recent round, we had 2 awards in the Town of Canandaigua, one to Finger Lakes Land Trust and one specifically to the Town of Canandaigua. And that's for the Keith and Linda Purdy Farm on Sand Hill Road. And I have to thank the Ag Committee, the ECB. Sarah Reynolds has just done a phenomenal job with this, working with David Bain from the New York State Department of Ag and Markets. But we were finally able to close this past Friday. It's about 120 acres on Sand Hill Road for the very first Town of Canandaigua official, Town of Canandaigua holding the conservation easement on the farm for the very first time. And so the programs are changing. We'll be talking a lot more about conservation programs in 2022. That's one of our top 5 strategic items for 2022, but it was super exciting to be able to close out the year with getting our first one on the books and recorded.
That's great, thank you. Privilege of the floor. Yes, Yvonne.
Supervisor Mennocotts, I want to thank you very much for your service to the town. We called you and asked if you'd run. The town was in a pinch because we had no leader. You agreed without any idea of what you'd be getting into. You handled everything with dignity and grace. And all I could say is Jared's got some big shoes to fill, but we thank you
Yes, I
so
do.
much for your
I'm
service.
leaving my shoes. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Resolutions and motions. We have no continued resolutions. New resolution, 2021-269. Oh, that's me.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Resolution 2021-269, acknowledging Town Supervisor Kathy Mennocotts for her years of service to the town of Canandaigua.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I guess you don't have to.
I will abstain.
It seems like the classic.
Resolution.
I'll abstain for the next one.
Thank you, everyone, by the way. Resolution number 2021-270, acknowledging town board member Linda Dworzak for her years of service to the town of Canandaigua.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? I do want to thank you, Linda. There were times when I needed someone to talk to, and even though we're technically on different parties, I think we agree on those things that I spoke about before. We may disagree on how to get there, but it was mutual respect along the way, so thank you very much for that. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
And let's see, anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations and thank you. Resolution number 2021-271, acknowledging Sarah Linda Hooker for her years of service to the town as an Environmental Conservation Board member.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Thank you, Sarah Linda. Resolution number 2021-272, acknowledging William Como for his years of service on the Town of Canandaigua Board of Assessment Review.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Is he with us at all? All right, I know that he moved to Tennessee to be with his family. I believe that's where he moved to. I'd like to thank him as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-273, acceptance of the monthly financial reports.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-274, acknowledgement and authorization of budget transfers by town manager.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-275, budget transfer authorization for Canandaigua Consolidated Water District 2021 debt service.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-276, authorization to withdraw funds from the New York State and local retirement system reserve fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-277, approval of Infintech credit card payment contract for park and recreation transactions.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. We're all for saving money, so thank you, Jean. Resolution number 2021-278, setting a public hearing on proposed local law to rescind local law number 6 of 2021 that allowed the tax cap override for 2022 budget.
So moved.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-280, authorization to surplus certain technology items.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-279, acknowledging Justice Prohl's and Justice Jones's presentation of court records and dockets.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Lots of first and seconds, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-281, approving lease agreement for John Deere wheel loader.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-282, authorization to surplus highway department equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-283, authorization to contract with Verizon Connect for vehicle tracking services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-284, accepting the resignation of water maintenance assistant Corey Westbrook.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-285, authorizing the hiring of a water maintenance assistant.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-286, appointment of transfer station laborer.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-287, authorization to proceed with mixed-use zoning referral to planning board for advisory report.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I have a couple questions or thoughts about the project that I do want to bring up. I do appreciate the proposed changes, the changes and the updates in the plan. But I do echo some of the same concerns that several residents and many in the community, concerns about traffic, the water quality impact and the impact on that area of the lake, and the impact of that increased density with those homes emptying out into that one spot. That's a serious concern that I have. Anybody who's tried to cross traffic on 364 at any time that's not in the middle of the night or like 2 in the afternoon, it can be a challenge to make that turn. And I worry about safety. It's a challenge for emergency vehicles to get down there if there's ever an incident. So those are a couple concerns. For me to, still haven't decided yet if I support it even going to the planning board versus another iteration to see if we can decrease some of that push onto 364. I worry about the environmental assessment. I think it would be well served to do a full environmental assessment to check the impact. We haven't had that done in a while, but to do a full assessment on that property, on that area, to see what that impact would have. So those are some of the thoughts that I had. I don't know if anybody else has any.
If I may, I think I gave you when you asked me for some procedural questions on this, I think I misled you by inadvertently.
Can I write?
I didn't give you the full story. The applicant has now submitted a new rezoning petition for mixed-use overlay rezoning. The code, and we've gone over this before, but I think it doesn't hurt to go over it again, says that if the town board decides to consider the petition, they'll refer it to the planning board for an advisory report, which would be due back in 60 days. If the planning board will issue you an advisory report. Then if you decide to further consider, then you could direct a site plan, which would then go to the planning board for preliminary site plan approval along with a seeker review.
Okay.
I do just want to make it clear this would be referring to the planning board for an advisory report. And I think you could, if the motion is made, it could be made with requests that, we'd like an advisory report from the planning board, saying, specifically traffic, specifically are there volcanoes on the property,
Right.
whatever you think is appropriate to include.
Are you suggesting those motions now or when the planning board brings it back?
I think if you wanted, you could do either, it's really up to you, I think if you want an advisory report.
Well, see, because again, and by, you know, like I've indicated, by voting to move this to the planning board doesn't indicate any support or rejection of the plan. It coming back from them, I would like to see them. I don't think we need to make a motion. If it comes back again and they don't have those things in there, maybe we could further and make a motion to try to include some of those. I would hope, and I think they will, knowing the board, look at some of these seriously, because they do a very thorough job on these projects. So again, just to clarify for everyone that it's sent out, the planning board gives a referral, it's not the final approval. Then it comes back to the board for another step along the way for the final board approval based on changes and recommendations the planning board makes and sends back to us.
I think that the concerns that were raised earlier, plus your comments, Jared, about, they're all concerns that I have too. I mean, traffic is a big issue down there. One of the other issues that I see is that while this plan is different, there are more single-family homes on the upper side to the east. The circular arrangement of these, I think of 12 6-unit townhouse structures is, to me, it's kind of jammed in together. And what does it really look like? I mean, the drawings that we have that, you know, came with our package here are just two-dimensional. They don't really show, you know, what the thing is going to look like in reality. I don't know if they've done any vertical assessment, if they've flown a balloon to see what, you know, it might look like, but the planning board is going to look at those things that you cited as concern. But perhaps we should ask them specifically to look at those items that have been brought forward by residents here, saying these are our principal concerns. So I don't know, maybe they spend a little more time on those issues or whatever, but
So do you support a motion to?
I support sending it to the planning board, but with some specific instruction that what you just cited and what's been cited here. Here are what the concerns were from residents and from this board. We'd like you to pay special attention to these areas, if you will. But it is, Chris outlined, you know, it goes to them, they come back with an advisory report. That's not the end.
Right.
So I would recommend that we at least cite those concerns somehow in that.
What are the concerns, traffic?
Traffic,
Stormwater, I heard.
stormwater,
That's already you say emergency access.
emergency vehicle access,
Trees.
the environmental impact of trees and vegetation, the impact of the density, and then what Terry mentioned, the visibility, does it fit, does the lower level fit within the new regulations of the ordinance committee that we just approved from the ordinance committee?
Visibility / view shed.
The view shed visibility, what does it really, in real world, what does it look like?
So I think I would recommend a motion. You like to do an amendment of motion, don't you? An amendment of the resolution.
You're the boss.
We should just say that between you and me, we can forward those concerns on the planning board with the resolution.
Yeah, but I think that
I'll have it in there too.
a motion to pass the resolution
As amended,
21-287
With amendments or with
the
suggestions?
condition- With the suggestions stated herein.
Yeah, with particular emphasis on reviewing that list of items.
Okay.
And guys, I had a request from Karen Blasey. She'd like to make a comment. Is that acceptable at this point? Are we able to do that?
It's not accessible at this point, but she can speak at privilege of the floor if she likes. Is that okay?
After the resolution though, right?
It would be after the resolution, correct.
Yeah.
But
Karen, are you speaking as a former member of the planning board or as a member of the community? Would you like to clarify something? I don't like to leave it hanging out there, but.
Yeah, I feel like she has a lot of knowledge about the planning board too. It was when she sent the request and I was hoping that we might be able to hear from her.
we could put this over until after the next privilege of the floor, or we could, if that's all right with
Yeah, I'm
everyone
okay with
else.
that.
So we'll put it over until after the next privilege of the floor, how's that?
That
All
was
right.
great.
All right, we'll move along. Resolution number 2021-288, approving final consolidation agreement for the consolidation of the Andrews Road Water District into the existing Canandaigua Farmington Water District.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-289, adoption of a local law creating the Uptown Business Improvement District and seeker determination of non-significance.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? I think this is great too. So I know, Doug, you put in a lot of work on this. And the LDC has been working very hard on this. And I also think that Uptown will be served by this. I think the BID in the city of Canandaigua, we have Bob Taylor here, does great things, and I would love to see the same for the town of Canandaigua. So I think this is a great thing. So I'm
And the thing I
very
like
much
is,
in support of it.
any concerns that you find with bids out there, they've been addressed in this, which is excellent going forward. Makes me feel very comfortable with it going forward.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
What local law is that?
Can we skip that number and go to the next one?
Sure. Yeah. 13's not a,
We made it to 13.
What number is it?
13.
13, yeah.
You're not required to consecutively number them, you just like it.
Resolution number 2021 we voted, right? Yes,
Yes, we did.
13. Resolution number 2021-290, setting a public hearing on text code amendment to Town Code Chapter 174-19H and seeker intent to declare lead agency.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-291, appointment of a Town of Canandaigua representative, non-elected, to the Canandaigua Local Development Corporation Board of Directors.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-292, appointment of Mary Beer, RN, MPH, Ontario County Public Health Director as local health officer for the town of Canandaigua.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I would just like to say I've worked with Mary Beer over the last unfortunate 2 years in Ontario County, and her staff and she have been amazing. And I think all of you probably follow it on Facebook, and they take it on the chin every day from some people, and it's really uncalled for with the amount of work that they're all doing. I would like to publicly thank Mary Beer and her staff for their amazing dedication to the people of this county, the vaccination clinics, all the testing they've done, education, and just the hard work around the clock. So we are very fortunate to have her. Anyone else? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-293, setting the Town of Canandaigua Town Board's 2022 organizational meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-294, establishing 2022 employee wage rates and payment.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-295, MUX Hospitality LLC, alcoholic beverages license notice.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-296, appointment of Kimberly Burkhardt to the vacant position on the Town Environmental Conservation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-297, soil erosion and sediment control surety. Linda, you should be reading
You
this.
should be doing both
So
of these.
moved.
Et al. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? You want to say anything for your parting surety, Linda?
I've loved those, every one of those sureties.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. All right, approval of the town board meeting minutes from November 15th. Can I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections, deletions, or additions? All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries for the approval of the town board meeting minutes of November 15th. Payment of the bills, Jean.
Yes. Utility abstract dated December 1st, 2021, totaling $347,682.09. The general fund of $197,540.87. Highway fund of $129,992.16. Water districts of $20,149.06. Town board abstract dated December 20th, 2021, totaling $276,855.03. The general fund of $167,899.65. Highway fund of $57,890.39. Capital projects of $22,670.12. Drainage districts of $675. Lighting districts of $1,238.04. And water districts of $26,481.83.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion for payment of the bills carries. All right, privilege of the floor. Karen? Are you there?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay, I have no faith in technology, so that's good. My name is Karen Blasey. I had the honor of being on the planning board for over 5 years. I was on the planning board and active in the development of our current comprehensive plan, including our goal-setting workshops. I remember sitting next to Kathy, and it was a very interesting session. The Canandaigua Shores proposal, in my opinion, is not at all in keeping with the intent of our comprehensive plan. In my opinion, it's not a good use of planning board time or taxpayer funds to develop an advisory report. This is an inappropriate level of density for our lake for so many reasons, which have already been raised. This proposal for changing zoning on this parcel is a policy issue. And it should be stopped now before it goes any further. Thank you.
Anyone else want to be heard? Privilege of the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Colbert, TCN Point, 3596. First off, happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you.
Lots to be happy for, so.
Same rules as you know, 3 minutes, okay?
Yes. I'm, no surprise, I'm here, resolution 2021-287, also known as Canandaigua Shores. I'd like to first off welcome the developers to the neighborhood. So it's good to know that you've closed on the property, and it's good to have you as part of the neighborhood, and looking forward to having you as neighbors. I mentioned before, I'm a big landowner rights advocate. And when I buy a piece of property, I look at the zoning related to it and what's happening with it. And I buy that knowingly. So I go into that full force. And the current zoning on the property that stands as it is today is R-120. They should have every right to do everything that they would ever want to do with that property. So to change the zoning, it should lead to some type of a hardship that's created. And by acknowledging the state of it today and where it has been, I don't think that we have any acknowledgement of hardship. I was recently asked at a planning board meeting what I view of the word rural. and it talks about the character, we talked a lot about the character of the region and the area and how that was important to Canandaigua. But it really comes into open space. The technical definition of it is open space. You've heard comments from the community today about a number of different topics, but you're also noticing that there's still new people coming on the topic. Still coming, still caring about this. Comprehensive plan, number 1. We need to listen to the people in the survey, but also to the comprehensive plan. I want to thank this board for not rubber stamping items. We've noticed that to be a trend lately, and even related to this project, I've seen that. So thank you for not just following process. And as Ms. Blasey stated tonight, we should not follow that process tonight. We could rubber stamp it to move it to planning board, but each one of the groups looks at the other for guidance, thinking that one is approving of the other. But ultimately, it will stop here. And I would suggest, as Ms. Blasey did, is that it stop now and that this not be approved. There's not a reason to approve this. We should actually be considering going the other direction of taking this property out of MUO. And we should be moving in that direction to get it out of that type of classification and get it to a protected property, as you've started with the scenic view shed. So thank you for continuing to drive that. Continue to do the right thing there. Just remember, the comprehensive plan states if permitting 1,323 units, the town should be concerned that these units do not adversely impact the valuable resources like farmland or woodland. We are one community. We have tens of more of these units coming down and through Gorham. We have to protect the whole community, not just our local town. So please continue to drive that. I would ask you tonight to get the points that you need ahead of time before even moving this forward. Let's get them in place and ask those questions now and then consider whether or not you want to move it forward. But do that ahead of even making a resolution to start the process to waste effort and time and energy. This has been a long process already. Just to finish, 2021 287 should not be.
You have 10 seconds.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Now you're over.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes. Same rules as you know, 3
Okay.
minutes, so.
I'll try to be quick. Sal Vichard, attorney for developers. Sorry if I take this off when talking. I'm sorry. It's a little bit easier to hear me. So we came back with a revised plan, obviously taking into all the comments that we've received throughout this process from both this board, especially with the adoption of the new scenic viewshed overlay district. We've taken that into account. And also all the comments we've received from the planning board throughout the process of trying to obtain preliminary site plan approval for the first plan, which when we started here was, I think, 116 townhome units on the entire 33-acre parcel. This board voted that it was fitting within the character of the community. On the recommendation of the planning board, that it also fit within the character of the community surrounding uses. And we went forward to trying to obtain preliminary site plan approval. After our timeline to obtain approval lapsed, we now find ourselves coming back to the drawing board with a scaled back project. As you know, it's about 40% reduction in the amount of townhome units, and we're only building these on half of the property, with the rest conforming with the R120 underlying zoning and the more stringent requirements of the scenic viewshed overlay district, which we think is fitting within the town's vision for that property. So I think what this mainly comes down to is the bottom half of the property, the portion that we're proposing to adopt the mixed use overlay zoning for with the townhomes. Now, throughout that 180-day process with the planning board, planning board was the lead agency for seeker, they seriously and I think carefully considered the impacts of traffic, stormwater, really all the items under seeker that they were tasked with reviewing. And going forward, the planning board, I believe, will also be the lead agency, and they will carefully consider these impacts and ultimately report back to this town board to ratify their decision. So as far as this stage and considering all those impacts, I think that is something that's best left to the planning board. And the town board, I think in that process, coordinates with the planning board as lead agency to relay those concerns and kind of explore those deeper. But the planning board is ultimately lead agency on the project, and I think that lies with them. So as far as passing this to the planning board for an advisory report, the planning board and town board both kind of gave the green light on the bigger 116 unit townhome project to go forward. So I guess I don't see how that they could now say, well, 72 unit townhomes, that doesn't fit with the community, with no change in the project other than, the feedback that we got from the planning board, which is changing the road configuration and ultimately losing about 40% of those units. So this is something that's already been kind of
10 seconds.
something that's already been kind of treated with warm reception from the boards at least, and we've reduced that significantly, and we anticipate that all the environmental concerns will be addressed and mitigated. I think my time's up. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys.
Okay, anyone else?
Kathy, it's Linda.
Yes.
I mean, it's easy for me because I won't be called upon to vote on this, but I feel like as a board, when we first heard about this, we were asked to refer to the planning
Hold on.
board.
Do we want to?
Pardon me? Oh, because this is privilege of the floor. You want me to wait? I couldn't hear you, Kathy.
Kathy's kept it pretty tight on this. Let's do that. Do it.
Let's move it and then we'll have our discussion, okay?
Okay, yeah, that works for me. Sorry, I got confused.
That's okay. Anyone else on privilege of the floor? Okay. So now, resolution number 2021-287, authorization to proceed with mixed-use zoning, referral to planning board for advisory report. Can I have someone to move it? So we can discuss it? Or I'll move it for discussion.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Go ahead, Linda.
My point was, when we first heard about this and we moved it over to the planning board for an advisory opinion, I distinctly remember, at the time hearing that we weren't necessarily voting on was this an appropriate project or not. We were going to let the planning board give us some feedback and then we were going to vote on it. And I think with all the community intervention and all of the discussions, I feel like it would be irresponsible for us to just send it along and hope that the planning board works on it for a while and then it comes back if we're not ready to rezone the parcel. And I question why we would rezone it. So I would think it might be better to, if that's what the board is thinking, to not move it along because we have no intention of rezoning.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when you said given the green light, I don't think it was ever, at least wasn't my intention to say we're absolutely in favor of one of it. I didn't know anything about it, but procedurally, I was willing to let it go forward.
The code section. But I didn't mean to cut you
But
off.
we were not talking about rezoning. And I didn't bring, I'm not in favor of mixed use overlay for that. I do agree that, that's a decision for us. So I would not be in favor of even sending this to the planning board because I'm not in favor of MUO for that. I don't think that's appropriate. I've heard not only from the people of town in Canandaigua, but we're impacting the town of Gorham as well. And that is a rural community. And we have responsibility not only to where we are, but we're impacted by everything that goes around. So from that perspective, I'm not in favor of even sending it to the planning board for rezoning. I don't think it's appropriate for MUO. So I understand and I appreciate all that you did, but it's a separate issue. As someone who lives here, I don't see that on that side of the lake right there as MUO. Anyone else?
You were gonna say?
I was gonna say the code section says after the mixed use rezoning petition, if the town board decides to consider the petition, then the town board may refer the petition to the planning board for an advisory report. So that was, I think, the extent of the determination at that point.
Right.
And I also wanna say, in light of what Linda shared, and in light of what Kathy had shared, thinking that before, when we did vote to send it, it was exactly what we were saying, for that advisory opinion, for it to come back from them and then that they work it over and then come back. And in this format, I think it would be appropriate to say, give it another try before bringing it to us. before we agree to send it to the planning board. Because if it comes back pretty much unchanged from the planning board, I could not support it coming back unchanged. Therefore, I don't see that I can support sending it off to the planning board at this point.
Any other discussion?
I agree.
So, just to be clear, I just wanna make sure that that the board's aware that the entire request pertains only to the bottom half of the project. The top half has been or will be subdivided into
I think
zoning allowed single family residences. And so they're only.
That's clear to me. I was clear on that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? So all in favor of sending it to the planning board? All opposed? I'm opposed.
Nay.
All right, everyone's opposed?
Yes.
All right. Any other business? Our last privilege of the floor? Yes.
I would just like to thank Linda and Kathy for their service to
You're
the town.
welcome.
Oh, thank you, Adeline.
I greatly appreciate all of the time and effort that you guys have put into this, and I'm honored to have had you represent this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. All right, executive session. Do we expect any other action after executive session? All
Wait,
right.
I guess maybe under other business, let me, if I could ask the current board member, or the future board members, anybody who's gonna be on next year's board, if you have to review the rules of procedure for the town board, if you have revision requests or suggestions, send them to Doug and myself.
Prior to the 10th,
Prior to the 10th, I guess prior to the.
prior to the night, prior to the Christmas, prior to the end of the year.
So the deadline for the organizational meeting is actually next Friday. Next Friday, that's because we have to publish it the
Right.
Wednesday before, so.
A week from this Friday.
A week from this Friday.
next
Friday.
Yeah.
What's
Thursday. It'll be next Thursday.
31st.
The 31st, or 30th, yes, 30th. But Kathy, I'm sorry, no, I don't know of any action after the
Okay.
executive.
For those of you who are present, we don't expect to take any public action after executive session. So we have executive session requested by the town manager for the employment history of a particular individual. And we'd like to include, when you say including, you're meaning that she should be included in that,
Yes.
okay? Executive session requested by the town manager for the proposed acquisition, sale, lease of real property, when publicity might affect the value. We'd like to include town board elected member Adeline Rudolph, our town attorney and town manager for that as well. An executive session requested by the town manager for the employment history of a particular individual, and include in that member-elect Adeline Rudolph, town attorney and town manager. Can we have a motion to move into executive session?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Have a good evening.
All in favor?
Happy holiday.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed?
Yes.
Okay, resolution
I'll
carries.
talk to you tomorrow.
Too busy greeting to vote.
I don't believe that.
That's a good
Merry Christmas, Chris, I'll see you.
Although I will. Sometimes I
I don't
thought.
think it's $12 an hour.
You guys go through things.
Hey Jim, what color are you gonna be wearing next month?
I'll try black.
I could get a lot of.
Oh, I don't do well in black.
Sweater in black.
So I have to wear black next week instead of the blue checks to match you? All right, I just donated my black shirt, I'll have to get a new one. Give me a reason to go shopping.
What's the award? I mean, you get a cross or?
He didn't know.
Close. Got one person in the waiting room for me. I don't know if they're really there or not, but. Okay.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
E40, yeah,
8:40, all right,
very good.
thanks
I think
everyone,
this is as organized as you can get it.
I think so.
I think you guys are definitely on the